So who is they? Candace's use of the word they throughout this series is actually pretty disturbing because it changes depending on the video you're watching. And when they actually get to the shooter, they basically paint him as either a victim or a patsy. Here's another quote. They got Charlie Kirk. Well, who is they? Is it Bibi? Is it Israel as a whole? Is it Turning Point USA? Is it the FBI? Is it Trump? This is why the term they can be so misleading, because people can take that they and run with it. The next propaganda technique used is called vague villain creation. And Candace has a lot of vague villains that she created throughout this series, which again, it just encourages projection. This purports to create a villain. And as the series goes on, you're going to see several villains created by Candace Owens. In this episode, we're going to focus on Benjamin Netanyahu, Bill Ackman, and the FBI. First example is Benjamin Netanyahu. So Candace goes after Bibi Netanyahu within the first 3 minutes of her first video, which is kind of remarkable when Benjamin Netanyahu's name hasn't even been mentioned by law enforcement whatsoever.
There's one person who's been out there acting like he is a widow. You know, just saying the absolute most, tweeting first about what happened to Charlie, following it minute to minute, you know, and doing hits in a foreign country, right? Like making time to do hits on Fox News, 2 of them. Bibi Netanyahu who's fighting, I think, like an 84 front war with everyone, made a lot of time for Charlie Kirk. You would have thought they were the best of friends, as close as him and Trump were.
We're just heartbroken. Myself, my wife, my family, my son, actually, on his 2019 visit to Israel, had lunch with him and his wife, Erica. We're shattered first as human beings because a great human being has been taken from us. Was an extraordinary friend. He said, he wrote me a letter on May 2nd this year. He said, one of my greatest joys as a Christian is advocating for Israel and forming alliances to defend Judeo-Christian civilization. A few weeks before the tragedy yesterday, I called him and I spoke to him and I said, please come to Israel. I invited him to Israel. And sadly, that visit will not take place. But he was a defender of our common Judeo-Christian civilization. He was unbelievably excited to walk in the footsteps of Jesus here. He valued our bond, the bond between America and Israel. He did so many things to defend free speech. He had his truth. He stood up for it. But he said, you can come and debate me. He invited that debate. He certainly didn't invite the violence, the horrible violence that tried to silence him. And, you know, this is a worldwide problem. The people on the extremes, the Islamists, the radical Islamists, and their union with the ultra-progressives, they often speak about human rights. They speak about free speech, but they use violence to try to take down their enemies, whether it's President Trump, who's been almost assassinated twice, or, they try to kill me here too. But they got Charlie Kirk, and it's just heartbreaking.
The way he's presenting it is like he was this is just the worst loss for him, but I don't think that is the truth.
The facial expressions that Candace Owens uses when discussing Benjamin Netanyahu are actually kind of frightening to me, because you can actually see the hatred for the man in her face. But you know what? We're going to stick to the facts on this. Let's drill down into one of the most vivid examples of this, the infamous May 2nd letter that Charlie Kirk wrote to Benjamin Netanyahu. Candace Owens opened this episode by saying, quote, Bibi Netanyahu is misrepresenting the contents of this letter. I'm calling on him to release the entire thing, end quote.
First and foremost, that letter he is holding up, he is severely misrepresenting. Those sentences are real, but I am calling upon Bibi Netanyahu, the dear friend to Charlie Kirk, to publish the letter's entire contents.
But here's what the public documents now show. Charlie did indeed write a letter to Benjamin Netanyahu, but it wasn't just 2 lines. The letter expresses his deep support for Israel and how Israel can go about winning the information war. Yet instead of stating that fact, Candace framed it as deception. They're hiding something. They're lying to you. This is a textbook emotional trigger. Then she pushes a villain. Bibi, the donors, the Israel lobby, because now they has a face.
Who is they, Bibi? Who is they who got Charlie Kirk?
People on the on the extremes, the Islamists, the radical Islamists, and their union with the ultra progressives. They often speak about human rights. They speak about free speech, but they use violence to try to take down their enemies.
We don't have to actually speak conspiracies. I'm just wondering, because you said a lot there, but it really sounded like it was about Bibi trying to establish a narrative that we saw reinforced by a lot of people. Like this is just who Charlie was. He says Judeo-Christian values. He spoke to him 2 weeks ago. Again, you would think he was busy fighting this 97,000 front war, but no, he's letting you know that he just randomly picks up the phone and calls Charlie Kirk and invites him to Israel. How would Bibi do that?
And then she layers some noise. Blackmail claims, donor pressure claims, intervention claims, multi-channel and multi-episode.
Okay. That's what I just said is meant to be a dig to the donors that are making frantic calls, trying to politic this situation under control. Frantic calls from Seth Dillon. Oh my God. The truth is that Charlie was under immense pressure and he was facing financial threats over his shifting stance on Israel. And he was under an increasing amount of pressure, not just people telling him, oh, well, I'm upset with who you're inviting, but flat out telling him that he was not allowed to invite certain people to his events. They were threatening to pull out money over who he was hosting, from his podcast to people that were on stage at America Fest, Dave Smith, Tucker Carlson. That is reality, my friends. Bibi Netanyahu in that phone call, what took place was a couple of weeks ago before Charlie lost his life. Charlie was in the Hamptons and he had more than one event, but he had essentially what was staged, an intervention was staged by Bill Ackman.
But here's the deal. The letter is now out in full, and there has been no retraction from Candace Owens. There was no acknowledgement of being incorrect or saying, I'm sorry for misrepresenting this. No, we searched and searched and searched. There's no apology. What the audience is left with is essentially a bunch of noise and bullshit. There's no proof and there's no context. Emotion precedes reason. A villain is defined, and then the noise drowns out the clarity. This matters because in this situation, with a shock event, a horrible death, and a grieving community, the stakes are very high. So truth doesn't just matter. It matters.